Gambian Talents TV. Gambian Talents TV. Promotion, population, promoting our culture, promoting our tradition.
After a short coffee break, we will have the first workshop between 12 noon and 1:30 p.m. And the topic is implementation of diaspora and innovative finance initiatives. The lunch break is between 1:30 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. The student delegates are requested to follow the authors to the spaces and rooms reserved for them. Other delegates are served coffees and lunch in the large dining space upstairs. The second workshop is after lunch between 2:30 p.m. and 4 p.m. And the topic is implementation of ethical labor migration program. The third and concluding workshop is between 4:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. And the topic is action points on financing for development. This will be followed by the closing session of SNF 8. We will hear brief closing remarks by our Keynote Diaspora speaker and vote of thanks from GK Partners. This year, we look forward to the artistic performance of Bright Stars Entertainment. We thank Mr. Njok Malik Jang, Director of Yaram Arts UK, for integrating arts and culture with SNF. We also thank the MSDG Fellow, musician and producer, the artist known as Singate, for his support and engagement. SNF 8 shall conclude at 6:30 p.m. Thank you.
Throughout the day today, we will be entertained by the Gambia Police Band under the leadership of Superintendent of Police, Matarba, and his talented band. SNF also feature Made in the Gambia Marketplace, coordinated by the Gambia Investment Export Promotion Agency, GAIPA. We encourage you to visit the stall during the break and buy the varieties of Made in the Gambia goods and products. It is my honor to invite the Imam Alaji Basiru Drame to lead us in prayer. You're welcome, Ya Imam.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, Alhaji Muhammad Jallo, Honorable Ministers here present, the Diplomatic Corps, Professor Jibril Fall, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and all other protocols duly observed. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you. Allahumma, we thank you for allowing us to gather here today for the 8th year in a row in order to continue as a nation this consultative dialogue that began some 8 years ago. It is a dialogue between our sons and daughters in the diaspora and the Gambian state actors and non-state actors in developmental matters so that the intellectual, technical, and moral resources of our sons and daughters in the diaspora can be tapped and harnessed and put to good use in the development of our motherland. Allahumma, as we invoke your mercy and blessings for this gathering of ours, we are hopeful that you are actually present with us in this magnificent conference hall, listening to us and our problems, For you are the one who has promised in the Holy Scripture to bestow your favor upon any of your servants who have united themselves behind a noble objective. And what objective can be nobler than building the motherland? And we further implore you to help bring to fruition our national diaspora objectives. For you are the one who have said in the Holy Quran, فَاسْتَجَابَ لَهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ أَنِّي لَا أُضِيعُ عَمَلَ عَامِلٍ مِنْكُمْ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنْثَى بَعْضُكُمْ مِنْ بَعْضٍ. And their Lord responded to them, never will I allow to be lost the work of any worker among you, whether male or female. You are of one another. Allahumma, you have in the Holy Scripture made it abundantly clear that there is no blame in being in the diaspora. More than that, you have even encouraged immigration sometimes. For you have said, هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور. It is He who made the earth tame for you, so that you can walk across the length and the breadth of the earth and eat of its provisions, and to Him shall everything return once again. That said, living in the diaspora has its challenges, big and small. We therefore fervently implore you to provide our sons and daughters in the diaspora the fortitude, wherewithal, and a degree of patriotism that would make it possible and easy for them to answer positively to the clarion call of their leaders, a call whose theme this year is diaspora, jobs, and financing for development, so that they would come back and invest in the land of their forebears. Allahumma, we pray that you protect our sons and daughters from the predicament that had befallen Banu Israel, the children of Israel, at the end of the Exodus, at the gate of the promised land, when their leader Moses had asked them to enter the land of their forefathers and to rebuild it. And Moses had said to them, يا قوم ادخلوا الأرض المقدسة التي كتب الله لكم ولا ترتدوا على أدباركم فتنقلبوا خاسرين. O my people, enter the sacred land which God has assigned to you, and do not turn your backs away from it, because then you will become losers. قالوا يا موسى إن فيها قوما جبارين وإنا لن ندخلها حتى يخرجوا منها فإن يخرجوا منها فإنا داخلون. O Moses, indeed, within it is a people of tyrannical strength, and indeed we will never enter this land until they leave it. But if they leave it, we will enter the land. Allahumma, we also implore you in equal measure to protect and guide our leaders so that they will also measure up to the expectations and give their word and keep their word and promise to our sons and daughters in the diaspora. With that, we pray and say, ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. وصلى الله على سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا وخاتمنا ونبينا ورسولنا محمد وسلم تسليما كثيرا. وسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام سلام علينا وعلى المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله.
Thank you so much, Imam, for the prayers and guidance. It is my honor to invite Reverend Lucy Safo to lead us in prayers. Welcome, Reverend.
Let us pray. pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Almighty God, fountain of all goodness, the giver of life, the provider of all that we have, we give you thanks and praise for the wonders of creation. We give you thanks and praise for making it possible this year, this day, this hour, for us to come from different places to meet in this room, in this 8th Stake in the Nation Forum. We give you thanks and praise for your wisdom, guidance, and protection. We thank you for providing us with leadership as we go about our daily duties and various tasks. By your grace and power, a lot of work has been done through the various activities of our sisters and brothers in the diaspora. We give you thanks. We pray for continued guidance as we go through today's activities. May we start it well and end it well, with your leadership and guidance and the enablement which only you, O Lord, can give. We also ask for your blessing on all partners and stakeholders of the diaspora, the GK partners, stakeholders, diplomatic, society, and civil communities. May all these efforts continue to be a blessing, and may they continue to contribute immensely to the welfare and development of our beloved nation, Gambia. Bless us all with long life and good health to see the fruits of their labor. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer.
Thank you so much, Reverend, for the prayers and guidance. It is my honor to invite Mamadou Njai, Senior Advisor to the Governor of Central Bank of the Gambia, representing the Governor to announce the 2024 remittance figures. You're welcome, Senator.
Good morning, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Gambia, Honorable Ministers present, Professor Fall and members of the High Table, members of the Diplomatic Corps, senior government officials present, esteemed members of the Diaspora, all protocols respectfully observed. I stand here today on behalf of the Governor Central Bank of the Gambia, who is unavoidably absent due to prior engagements. He sent his apologies. I will represent him. This is his statement, which I will read now. It is indeed an honor for me to join this morning to speak on a topic paramount to our economy and the well-being of Gambian families, remittances in flow. As you are aware, remittances from our diaspora play a critical role in our nation's socio-economic fabric. These funds sent by Gambians living abroad contribute significantly to household incomes, education, healthcare, and the overall economic stability of our country. It is important to note that remittances have served as a financial cushion during economic downturns, in particular during the global COVID-19 pandemic and the economic challenges faced worldwide. Our diaspora support to their families and communities back home was remarkable, mitigating the impact of the pandemic on the Gambian economy. The Gambia has a long standing of migration, and our diaspora community has grown substantially over time. As a result, the inflow of remittances has become a vital component of our economy, often surpassing traditional sources of foreign currency supply, including tourism and exports. Today, I would like to highlight the current state of remittances, their impact on our economy, and the steps we are currently taking to maximize their benefits for the Gambia. Your Excellency, Cabinet Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, remittance inflows in recent years have shown a consistent upward trend. According to the latest data we have, remittance inflows contribute approximately 31.5% of gross domestic product, GDP, underscoring its critical importance to the economy of the Gambia. In 2024 alone, and I underline, which is the main theme of this topic, the Gambia received over $775.6 million in remittances, $775.6 million in remittances, reflecting a significant increase of 28.8 million over the prior year. The expansion is partly due to improved monitoring methodologies, the increased use of formal channels by the diaspora, and the use of technology in sending remittances. In addition, the emergence of fintech companies in the industry is believed to have also lowered the cost of sending and receiving remittances into the economy, thus bolstering the amount of remittances received during the review period. A recent survey by our Economic Research Department of the Central Bank of the Gambia revealed that the primary sources of these remittances include the United States of America, Europe, and other African countries where our diaspora is well established. In terms of utilization, the funds are used predominantly for consumption, education, healthcare, and small-scale investment financing, thereby fostering development of both the household and community levels. According to the survey, 36.9% of total remittances received are spent on household consumption, while 51.8% are spent on private construction. These two go to support domestic demand and remain a critical driver of the economic growth in the Gambia from 2021 to 2024. Furthermore, the survey indicated that 7.5% of the remittance inflows were personal savings, providing the domestic financial system with the much-needed liquidity for investment and capital accumulation. Health expense, education, and other family expenditures account for the remaining 3.8% of total remittance receipts during the period. Your Excellency, Cabinet Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, while the benefits of remittances are clear, there is room for improvement to maximize their impact. First, We need to create an enabling environment that encourages our diaspora to invest in large and more sustainable projects. This includes improving the ease of doing business in the country, offering attractive investment incentives, and ensuring political and economic stability. Second, we should explore partnerships with financial institutions to lower the cost of remittance transfers. The global target, as highlighted in the Sustainable Development Goal, SDG 10, is to reduce the cost of sending $200 to 3% by 2030, from a cost of 7% in 2019. High transaction fees can limit the amount of money received by families, thus reducing its overall impact on the economy. By leveraging technology and fostering competition among service providers, we can make remittance transfer more affordable and efficient. Third, we must strengthen our data collection mechanisms to better understand remittance inflows and their usage. Accurate data will enable us to develop targeted policies that address the specific needs of our communities and optimize the benefits of remittances. For these reasons, the Central Bank has recently concluded a diaspora engagement exercise to showcase the potential investment opportunities for Gambians in the diaspora to leverage. This initiative will provide investors diasporan the avenue to invest their monies with a lucrative return while providing the much-needed critical infrastructure development for our economy. Furthermore, the Central Bank of the Gambia has also been developing strategies to strengthen the non-bank remittance sector with a view of increasing remittances sent through the formal channel. For example, the Central Bank recently concluded the review of FinTech and Forex Bureau guidelines. This reform will guide the licensing and operations for remittance operators, as well as facilitate the implementation of anti-money laundering measures. By developing the non-bank remittance sector and increasing healthy market competition, the cost of remittance sending is expected to significantly decline towards the global target of 3% of the amount remitted by 2030. Your Excellency, Cabinet Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the importance of remittances to the Gambian economy cannot be overemphasized. While we have made significant progress in enhancing the inflow and utilization of remittances, there remain substantial opportunities to further leverage these funds for personal and national development. To this end, I would like to reiterate the importance of strategic policy reforms to create a better environment for enabling our diaspora contribution to national development. By implementing strategic policies and fostering a conducive environment, we can ensure that remittances continue to play a pivotal role in the socio-economic advancement of the Gambia. Central Bank of the Gambia's ongoing initiatives, including diaspora engagements and reforms of remittance regulation, are a step in the right direction to achieving the goals. Therefore, I urge all stakeholders, including government, financial institutions, and other diaspora community, to work together in harnessing the full potential of remittances for the betterment of our nation. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mamadou Njai. And once again, congratulations to Central Bank of the Gambia for the ability to collate and publish the remittance figure so early in the new year. At this juncture, I would like you to give the Gambian diaspora a round of applause for contributing $775 million in 2024. Of course, Gambians never forget their families back home, even during COVID-19. We thank the Gambian diaspora for increasing investment and continuing to support national development. Thank you.
The MSDG project understands substantial technical cooperation work with various ministries, departments, and agencies, starting with the Central Bank of the Gambia and the Gambia Police Band way back in 2018. Three recent significant institutional cooperation projects were with the National Assembly, the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, and the Gambia Police Force. In November 2024, new school buildings constructed by the MRC Holland Foundation were inaugurated in Ganjan, Sanjal. GKP MSDG installed state-of-the-art science labs for biology, chemistry, and physics in the building. This partnership model is now being rolled out in different regions of the country, starting in Funi. Harriet Bruma Sonko of MRC Holland Foundation, our contact person at the ministry, Mr. Ibu Seringay, and our diaspora fellow who worked on his model, Ms. Dostina Sawyer. In partnership with the Gambia Police Force, in May 2024, GK Partners MSDG facilitated for the head of the Ghana Police Band Academy to undertake a 3-week training, needs analysis, and initial skills training for the Gambia Police Force. One of the recommendations was for the members of the band to prepare, enroll, and take exams of the Associated Board of Royal Colleges of Music in the United Kingdom. We thank Chief Inspector Eli Plim and the Ghana Police Force for their technical support and Bandmaster Matarba for his persistence in seeking training and development for the band. GK Partners has now acquired all the required books, workbooks, and past papers for the first cohort to register for the ABRSM exams. We now invite Mr. Njok Malik Jeng of Yaram Arts to formally hand over a sample of the material books to the Inspector General of Police. We kindly ask His Excellency the Vice President and the GKP Director to join them for a photographic record. Mr. Njok Malik, please. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Clara. It is now my singular honor to invite the Honorable Minister, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation, and Gambian abroad, to deliver his statement. Welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, Mohammed B. Jallo, Honorable Ministers, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, representative of the Governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia, heads of security here present, for their representatives, venerable religious and traditional leaders, GK partner, co-founder, Professor Jibril Fall, the keynote speaker, Professor Muhammadu Salah, special guest speaker, Mr. Chuku Emeke Sdkj, permanent secretaries present, Gambian Diaspora and friends of the Gambia, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to the 8th State in the Nation Forum. It is an honor to address this distinguished assembly dedicated to fostering dialogue, collaboration, and actionable progress toward our nation's development goals. This year's theme, Diaspora Jobs and Financing for Development, speak to the heart of our shared vision, building meaningful connection between the Gambia and its diaspora, unlocking opportunities for our people, and embracing innovative approaches to resource mobilization for sustainable growth. Allow me to begin by extending my heartfelt gratitude to GK partners and all stakeholders who have worked tirelessly to organize this transformative forum. Your efforts continue to create a platform where critical voices from the diaspora, policymakers, and development practitioners converge to shape the Gambia's trajectory toward inclusive and equitable progress. Today's gathering is particularly significant as it coincides with the celebration of the Gambia Diaspora Month. As I mentioned in my remarks at the onset of this month, this initiative symbolizes the enduring bond between our diaspora and homeland. It reaffirms the recognition of our diaspora as the 8th region of the Gambia, a historic declaration made by His Excellency the President, Adama Barrow, in 2018 and enshrined in the 4th pillar of the Recovery-Focused National Development Plan, NDP 2023 to 2027. This recognition transcends symbolism. It is a solemn commitment to make the diaspora an integral part of our national development strategy. It acknowledges the diaspora as not only contributors of remittances, but also as a source of invaluable expertise, innovation, and global networks that can serve as catalysts for transformative change. I always say that even beyond the Gambia, the much talked about African Renaissance cannot happen without the diaspora. Just recently, we were in South Korea, where all the African leaders during the Africa-Korea Forum were showing their fascination for the Korean model. Korea succeeded because the diaspora played a key role in the development process of Korea. And not only were they able to break the vicious cycle of underdevelopment by giving a key role to the diaspora, but they also put key emphasis on culture, seeing themselves through their own eyes, not through the eyes of others, and mapping out their own development strategy and taking the driver's seat. The workshops that we will have today will outline implementation of diaspora and innovative finance initiatives, implementation of ethical migrant labor programs, and action points on jobs, diaspora, and financing for development. These workshops are both timely and critical. They align closely with the pillars of our National Development Plan and underscore the indispensable role of the diaspora in shaping the Gambia's future. The contributions of the diaspora extend beyond financial remittances. They are agents of change and innovation, capable of unlocking pathways to sustainable development. However, to fully realize this potential, we must address key challenges. These include establishing ethical labor practices that protect the dignity of Gambians working abroad, creating sustainable jobs that drive economic growth at home, and implementing innovative mechanisms to finance development projects. As we embark on today's discussion, let us be guided by a collective aspiration to make the Gambia a nation where opportunity abounds for its citizens, whether at home or abroad. This requires bold ideas, inclusive policies, and a steadfast commitment to fostering collaboration across sectors. It also demands that we adopt innovative approaches to address persistent challenges and seize emerging opportunities. At the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we remain steadfast in our commitment to initiatives that strengthen diaspora engagement, expand and enhance our focal person networks, provide efficient consular services through our foreign missions, promote ethical labor practices, and reach out for the innovative financing solution for sustainable development. Our priority is to foster an enabling environment where every Gambian, whether at home or abroad, can actively participate in and benefit from the nation's progress. Let this forum serve as a turning point in our collective efforts. I urge each of you to actively participate, challenge traditional paradigms, and champion actionable actions. Together, we can translate the discussions and ideas generated here into tangible outcomes that will make a lasting impact on the Gambia's development journey. In closing, I extend my deepest appreciation to all participants for your commitment to this important cause. Your presence here today is a testament to your belief in the power of collaboration to create a better future and a brighter future for our nation. Let us work together to ensure that the outcomes of the State of the Nation resonate far beyond this conference room, driving us closer to the vision of a prosperous and inclusive Gambia. I wish you a productive and inspiring day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for the leadership and guidance in providing consular service to Gambian diaspora. And also, we also would like to call on to the next presenter. So it is my singular honor to invite Honorable Fatou Kinte, Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, to deliver her statement.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellency the Vice President, Mr. Mohamed B. Jallo, honorable colleague ministers present here, members of the National Assembly, Professor Gabriel File, the key partners, the guest speaker, Professor Mamoudou Sala, special guest, the Chuku Imeka, members of the Diaspora present here, permanent secretaries, district officials, and other senior government officials present, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished officials of the UN system, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols respectfully and duly observed. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to you all. I have the singular honor and privilege to partake in this auspicious event marking the 8th State of the Nation Forum under the theme Diaspora, Jobs, and Financing for Development. My role here today is to deliberate on the significant strides made by the government of the Gambia in the area of economic development through job creation and innovative financing. However, it's imperative to note that the role played by my ministry in enhancing the government's development agenda as we accelerate work in the implementation of the recently launched National Gender Policy, which aims to ensure that women participate alongside men as equal partners and beneficiaries in the economic development process for sustainable livelihood development. You will all agree with me that in the world of development practice, as observed, when women do have their own independent source of income, gender imbalances increase. When women do not have their own independent source of income, gender imbalances increase. Women themselves know this. This is why, for generations, our hardworking mothers and aunties endure backbreaking labor on farms, gardens, and markets to earn incomes for themselves and yearn for the upliftment of their families. As such, decent, desirable, and sustainable jobs for women is a critical element in the process of women's empowerment in particular and national development in general. The government of the Gambia has set a target in the recovery-focused national development plan 2023-2027 to facilitate the creation of 150,000 new jobs by 2027. Labor migration programs can play an important role in achieving this target. Many of the jobs created through these structured programs actually go to young women under the age of 36. Crew, which is a partner of the MSDG project, is the only licensed recruitment company with experience of actual deployments on migrant labor programs. Out of the 700 deployments and jobs created, over 70% were women workers. This demonstrates the opportunities that exist for women. However, it is well documented that female migrant workers face social risks and perils. There are some who think that because these gender risks exist, women could not and should not be part of these employment schemes. On the other hand, many progressives think that excluding women tantamount to aggravated discrimination, double victimization, and intensified marginalization. Given that these are well studied and understood, it would be better for gender responsive preventive and mitigation measures to be institutionalized. This will enable women to exercise their rights, to access employment opportunities, and improve their lives and that of their families and communities. Many of the job opportunities in the Gulf Cooperation Council countries are for domestic work done by women. Although these are not high-value skilled jobs, they are nonetheless real opportunities for unemployed women, to join the first row of employment and income earning. With their earning, they can improve their chances of gaining more skills, starting small businesses, and progressing in the world of work. To ensure progressive pathway, the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment is applying the highest standards of ethical labor migration protocols, including the International Labour Organization Domestic Workers Convention 2011. Although not all Gambian diaspora are migrants, all migrants, including women employed through structured labor programs, are part of the Gambian diaspora. These women will enhance their contributions to national development. Through their resources, they will feed and house families and educate children and young adults. Through their example, they will instill a health work ethic amongst the young. The chairperson, the vice president, ladies and gentlemen, as the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, I take the opportunity of the 8th State of the Nation Forum to thank the Gambians for their contributions to better livelihoods and welfare of families and children in this country. I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister Kinte, for your statement. Mr. Chukwu Emeka Chikese is one of the pioneers of what we now recognize fully as diaspora development policy and practice. In 1994, he co-founded a charity in the United Kingdom to provide thinking, innovation, and framework, models and practice of now Africans in the diaspora to a significant extent. The work of that charity, which is African Foundation for Development effort, is the basis of many of the current mainstream concept, policy, and programs on diaspora development. He is currently the country director of the International Growth Center, IGC, in Sierra Leone. You're highly welcome, Mr. Chair.
Your Honorable, Your Excellency, Vice President, Republic of Gambia, distinguished members of the High Table, to all of you here, permit me to stand on the protocols that have been established by the Foreign Minister and to say, I greet the people of Gambia. It is my first time here, and I thank Professor Jabril Fall, with whom I've worked for almost 30 years on diaspora, to have this opportunity to speak to you today. And I want to start by putting this into historical perspective. Do you know what role the African diaspora played in ending slavery, the very slavery that created the first diasporas? In 1807, the Slave Trade Act was passed, which prohibited Britons from engaging in the transatlantic slave trade. And there was a gentleman called Olaudah Equiano, who was actually born in what is today Nigeria, who, among others, played a critical role, was captured as a slave, found himself in the New World, and somehow managed to educate himself and buy his freedom. Eventually ended up in London, formed the Sons of Africa, the first Black organization in the United Kingdom. And they lobbied for the passage of the act and lobbied against slavery as well as the slave trade. Equiano was also very active in the first ship that took freed slaves from the United Kingdom to what is today Freetown, Sierra Leone in 1787. That project didn't succeed, but a subsequent project succeeded in 1792, establishing Freetown, known as the place for returned slaves. Why do I mention this here today? It is to put your impressive work into its proper historical perspective. The Gambian diaspora, and I congratulate the government of the Republic of the Gambia and other stakeholders, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and you should be proud of yourselves. You should be proud of yourselves in the pioneering work that you do. It is worthwhile, it is historical, it is important, but there is much more that we must do. But let me just stand here on record to say that what the Gambians are doing, what the Gambian diaspora, working with GK partners and the government of Gambia are doing, is something that is worthy of emulation in many other African countries. It is worth noting that what you are doing in the Gambia is not necessarily being practiced yet in such a consistent way in other African countries. So, the Diaspora for Development work is relevant, it is timely, and it's worth noting that we are witnessing a shift, a paradigm shift in international cooperation. Overseas development assistance is actually declining. If you look at the major donor countries today, they spend something like 13% of their overseas development cooperation in their countries dealing with things like the refugee crisis from Ukraine. So it is important that we recognize as Africans that we must take responsibility for our own development, and I believe that the Gambian diaspora is already leading on this. So there's a challenge for us as Africans. I'm going to borrow from a term that has been used by a well-known politician in the United States, MAGA, M-A-G-A. What you don't know is that MAGA stands for Make Africa Great Always. We do not need to make Africa great again. It already is. So we are the ones we have been waiting for. We are our own greatest aid donors. This goes far beyond remittances. We heard the figures for remittances. That's the cash. There are many other ways in which the Gambian diaspora and other African diasporas contribute. One of the tasks, and I would like to put this at the floor of Professor Fall and his team, is that we begin to measure the other contributions so that we have a more realistic and a holistic measure of this contribution. And when we do that, we will find that we are already our own greatest aid donors. Now, let me have a quick call to action. As I stand here today, I have seen the exciting work that is being undertaken, and I can pledge that I will go back to Sierra Leone, where I work and live, and we will emulate what we can. So I would say, given the long and deep historical ties between the people of Gambia and the people of Sierra Leone, that bilateral relationship is a very good foundation for us to borrow, to steal, to actually emulate some of what you are doing here. And we will not stop there. I would like to put, and I've already had the opportunity to speak to His Excellency the Vice President, I think the Gambian government should acknowledge and notice that this is a real role model of excellent practice, and I believe that we should take this to ECOWAS and present it for other African countries in the West African arena to actually emulate it, because they are not, at the moment, following all of the things that you're doing here. The dialogue between the diaspora and the government and the other stakeholders is critical. So the idea of Gambia, actually, little Gambia, Smiling Coast, actually setting the stage for much larger countries to actually demonstrate what is possible. I think this is very important, and I think it's a task, and I would like, and I hope that this SNF8 will make this as a strong recommendation. And so, as we think now, and I talked about the 1807 Act, which was 218 years ago. Imagine I'm standing here talking about something that somebody did 218 years ago. So the question for us today is, what is it that we are going to do that in 218 years from here, in 2243, that will have the significance of that act in 1807 in, as I've said, making Africa great always. That is the challenge that we have. That is what I commend to you, and I thank you all for your attention.
Special guest speaker there, TKC, we thank you for your statement. Professor Mamadou Salah is the SNF8 keynote speaker. He is the former director of Center for Academic Innovation at the De Montfort University and professor of learning and teaching. In 2015, Time Higher Education named him the most innovative teacher in the United Kingdom. He is currently operational manager at the Central Project Unit, Ministry of Finance. As a social entrepreneur, he set up Global Hands Publishing, the Catholic Academy. Professor Salah set up a resource and educational center in Manduar, and his many activities empower young people and communities. As a good professor prepares to speak, we invite the Gambia police band to play the Manjago song entitled Kenduko Milik. I hope I did it right, which means bring me water. It is safe to ask for water from Professor Salah. Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
You have to dance also. You want to nothing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Your Excellency, the Vice President, all the beautiful, wonderful ministers hereby present, ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor to have this opportunity to share my thoughts. Professor Fall, thank you very much to you and GK Partners for the opportunity. As the band was playing, I wanted to dance. I really had to restrain myself from just doing my thing. But I know that we've got the Vice President and very serious people here, so I have to behave myself. Can I just check that people are still here? If you can hear me loud and clear, can you please put your right hand up? Your right hand up. Can you please wave it from side to side, like you don't care? Okay, good. I've got you now. I want to talk today about how diaspora professionals in global institutions contribute to national development. And over the past 26 years, I have been living in the UK, and I came back in May. I know I'm going to try. In fact, I'm going to stay here. I love this son so much. But within these 26 years, I have had to grapple with a lot of creative tensions as to who I am, what I am about, and what I need to do as a diasporan from the Gambia. And I try to do a lot of things. It is very important that I share my positionality, because this will hopefully illuminate the context in which my work happens. But I also know that in terms of my identity as a decolonial scholar, as a scholar activist, it impacts on who I am and what I do. So I've been trying to do a few things whilst living in the UK. I with other people, set up what we call Global Hands. So one of the things that was done was to set up Global Hands Publishing, which actually publishes decolonial scholarly work. I'm glad to see that some of our books are being used in our high institutions of learning, because when literature talks about epistemicide, where whole cultural knowledge systems have been destroyed, we need to reclaim that, and we need to actually make sure that there is an active way of challenging it. And publishing these books and a journal has been one of them. But also we did some work, particularly in a village called Mandua, but also beyond Mandua, we tried to do some work where we incubated an innovation center. We tried to launch, with the collaboration of Nissan, what we believe to be Africa's first solar power taxi service, where we work with the community to develop an electric car that's off-grid, and that was also able to kind of like generate income and to get it going. We wanted to test the proof of principle, and the papers are out there to show what we tried to find. We also try to bring students to engage in transformative learning and to share with communities. And we probably brought in about 700 students into the Gambia, mainly from the UK and America, and they were able to collaborate with a lot of other organizations as well. We're trying to show how diaspora Gambians in other institutions outside of the Gambia can actually leverage their network, their expertise, and their skills to bring about meaningful development and to collaborate. So that's been one example. The second example, Professor Fall has given me 7 minutes, and I intend to honor that. So the second example I wanted to talk about, a number of you would have heard about the transformation of GTTI into the University of Applied Science, Research, and Engineering and Technology, USET. I think their first batch will graduate early this year. And over the past 4 years, with the invitation of the former Vice President, Honorable Badara Diouf, the late, may his soul rest in peace, I was able to work with about 20 professors from the Montfort University over the last 4 years, and we were able to look at their quality assurance systems, do a mapping out of it, and also support the development of a number of policies and procedures to support the university. We were also able to look at setting up a certificate in innovation and entrepreneurship. Part of the problem that we have within our education system is that it is still a deeply colonial project, where education is not functional, it's not responsive, and it's not relevant to the needs of the people. We wanted to think about how, thank you. We wanted to think about how we can shift from just producing engineers who do not understand necessarily the needs of our people to engineers who have got an entrepreneurial mindset and are able to respond to the needs of our people. If they can actually kind of like solve our own problems, if the hippos are eating the rice, one of the groups of students or staff, what they did was just to produce this alarm, this motion-activated alarm that will make the sound of a lion and scare the birds and the hippos. But there's so many other things that we can do, but the mindset has to shift. So what we tried to do there was to to develop a parallel certificate. So when they graduate with a BSc in civil, mechanical, and electrical engineering. They also graduate with a certificate in innovation and entrepreneurship. Alongside that, we also set up an innovation and incubation lab. So from ideation and innovation to taking products to market, it's a seamless process. So we have equipped it with the latest equipment that there is, and we just about in the process of handing it over. But we also develop also kind of like an internship and placement unit. So I've been able to work with my university, and over the past 4 years, work with about 20 of our professors from the Manford to look at how we can leverage their expertise and latest technology so that our graduates will become kind of like more innovative, will have an entrepreneurial mindset, and will be more responsive and functional in the education that we create. Yeah. So that's the second example. And the final example I want to talk about is setting up the Catalyst Academy. And if you look at it, when we started Global Hands, we were a charity. But one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that for me, charity will not work in Africa. It breeds dependency and a sense of entitlement. So to I then shifted in terms of what we do, because if I am a big fan of the work of Thompson and also part of Althusser, where we look at deprivation, poverty, oppression as contained at the personal, cultural, and structural levels. And in order to dismantle that, we have to simultaneously work also at the personal, cultural, and structural levels. Althusser talks about the hardcore and the softcore, and then the hardcore violence of the state is about the police, the administration, the judiciary, and all of these things. And the softcore is the church and society and culture and all of these things. So in these creative tensions that I have to deal with, I'm constantly asking myself, how can we contribute to development, meaningful development, given the network and the resources and the exposure of heart? At the same time, dismantle the poverty, dismantle the underdevelopment. The statistics are out there, and because of time, I don't have time. And I'm sure most of you know about these statistics and these figures and the livelihoods that our people have better than I would ever know in 1,000 years. But I have been able to shift from a purely charity endeavor to to actually engaging, because it's sometimes good as it is also sometimes worthy of note that as diasporans we engage at the periphery, we remain outside of the structures of society and of the system. And I think working with the University of Science, Research and Science, Engineering and Technology, but also other government bodies, we've been able to fundamentally attack the fault line that we've been talking about education. So let us work in the periphery. Let us do our social projects. But let us find ways also of working with the government. Because sometimes the structural nature and impact of our work is actually quite important and more impactful. But the other thing that I am trying to do right now is the Catalyst Academy. Last week at this time, we had a boot camp. There was a scientist we invited from Senegal, and there was also another wetland scientist from the Gambia. And we're trying to set up a botanical garden in the Catalyst Academy grounds in Sifo. About 2 months ago, we brought in students, civil, mechanical, and engineering students, to actually look at adaptive technology, from simple things like how do we check the soil's moisture and how do we have these automated watering systems for agriculture. So we'll be holding a lot of boot camps going forward. So, and the Catalyst Academy is also a private endeavor where myself and another colleague put in our money to actually make it work. But we're not making it a charity. We're turning it into a social enterprise where the vast majority of the work, the profits we'll make, will go back into the company. But it's not about charity. It's about a sustainable way of doing business. So when I talk about all of these things, of course, theoretical underpinning, we can talk about systemic thinking, where we move away from our silos into kind of like a more holistic approach in terms of the people we work with, the systems, the procedures, the policies. We can also talk about going the triple helix kind of like model, where we are consciously and constantly engaging with industry, with the government, and with academia, and how you actually simultaneously engage with them rather than being very, very isolated. But again, the question is, do you focus on the single bottom line of just profit, or the double bottom line of profit and social good, or the triple bottom line of profit, social good, and environmental sustainability? And these are the questions that I constantly engage with. The work that I do as a diasporan is mainly outside of my formal job, where I've been working in the university for the past 20 years. But also, I'm quite interested in kind of like how my work outside of the academy can be influenced by my work inside of the academy. Like a lot of the work I've done has been in my own personal time, but a lot of the work I've done also has been as a member of the university, being able to generate income within the university, but also use that money to subsidize other activities that would probably keep me going. Because if I was just to stay in the university, I'll be bored. So I need to get foray and get other things happening. So in terms of diasporans that I know, or a lot of people I've had speak, I think when we wake up, we're preoccupied about how we can change Gambia. Like they say, picture banks call, but hell banks suf. You know, I know that when I was living in the UK for the past 26 years, almost without fail, every day I'll think about when I wake up, what are we going to do to change the Gambia? And when I go to bed, the last thing I'll be thinking about, what are we going to do? And there are people 10 times more committed than I am. There is a great desire in the diaspora that likely remains untapped. Over the last week, I've been hearing the diaspora clubs, Busojad, talking about, we want to do this in Chamid, we want to do this, and we can hear the other side of the argument saying this. I'm saying, for God's sake, just sit down. There's a lot of passion, and there's a lot of desire. And these people cannot even go to bed because they're so much excited about how they can bring about change in the country. So we need to think about how we can actually open up the systems. And as somebody who's been part of a part of this, I know that there isn't anything I'm trying to gain. There isn't anything I'm trying to gain. I don't need the publicity. I don't need the thank you. I don't need probably the finance to do this. I'm doing it because genuinely, as a Gambian, I just want to bring about the change. You know, when you go out in the streets, when you look at the statistics, and you look at what has been done outside, what you've been able to achieve outside, why don't you, Jay? There's no time. We need to do these things. So I'm saying that I will encourage the government. You know, sometimes these people from the diaspora, they're very impatient. We know that. They're very impatient. But we need to find a way of engaging, because they come with a lot of networks, with a lot of resources, a lot of technical know-how that they want to leverage. So let us open up the systems, as somebody from the diaspora, I've had experiences where people are not as welcoming as they should be, for a number of reasons. So we need to find ways in which our brothers and our sisters will feel welcome when they come. And I think that's a really, really important part of it. But also, to my brothers and my sisters from the diaspora, since I came back in May to the Gambia, we've been playing around this thing where we've been trying to call it something else, and we call it a pedagogy of persistence. So there is a pedagogy of persistence that you have to learn, in terms of the bureaucracy and how you manage it. And that also would go a long way in terms of allowing us to achieve the ultimate goal, which is to work together. In my work from the diaspora in the Gambia and in other African countries, I've come to develop what I call a pedagogy of disruption, where we engage in intentional disruption to change the way things are, to disrupt the status quo. But in engaging in this pedagogy of disruption, we need to be mindful of a particular number of things. We need to think about another sub pedagogy of of ambiguity, how we manage ambiguity, of compassion, how in the difficulty and with the difficulty of things, we actually remain compassionate and kind, and also a pedagogy of discomfort, because some of these situations are very, very uncomfortable, are very, very difficult, but they need to be navigated, they need to be managed. I think the diaspora can significantly leverage a lot of things. And I think the government can create a more enduring environment, a more conducive environment through dialogue and through a lot of other things. Because as the previous speaker alluded to, it's not only about the financial remittances, but it's also about the intellectual remittances that diasporas can bring along. And we need to think about how we harness this, how we work with them together. Because most of the people from the diaspora that I know are thinking day and night about how we can build a better Gambia, how we can make things better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Salade, for that statement. I have been tempted to Samba Mayan since in the beginning, but I was advised to limit myself to the time for the Jarakas to have their breakfast on time. But the man I'm about to call is the man behind all of this. And I think it was saying a few words about him, but I will still stick to the principle he gave us. So you're welcome, Professor Fall, Director for GK Partners and the MSDG Project, to give his statement.
Thank you so much, the Gambia Police Band. Is there anyone in the Gambia who doubts that they are friends of GK Partners and the MSDG project? Your Excellency, Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, honorable ministers, distinguished delegates, friends, it is a most beautiful thing to stand here and see a full house of ambassadors, ministers, service chiefs, professionals, and a big contingent of the future leaders from our universities. This interest and growth in the State in the Nation Forum happens because we are assisted and supported by virtually everyone. And you know what the trick is? We ask politely, we beg. And us, the diaspora, who know nothing other than impatience, forgive us. We are impatient for the change that Professor Salah talks about. Many of the people who come to SNF may notice that we're often talking about money. The Jangs and the Giants in this room, they accuse me of many things. They accuse me of even being interested in food. Come on, where did they get that idea from? But some think that I'm obsessed with money. Believe me, I'm not. But we need to talk about money. And there's a reason for this. Many, many years ago, people would leave their villages, their towns, purely for wanderlust and to make good what they do not have where they are. In the year 1988, I met a gentleman in the East End of London. And when he told me where he came from in Gambia, I couldn't work out how he ended up in the East End. And he told me this story. He said, we farm during the rainy seasons. And when the rain is not coming, and the season of hunger and famine would come, we would go wherever so that we help those who stay. That's still money. He told me some of them would come to Banjul and they would work as Baranyini. A Baranyini is a laborer, but often linked to the ports. They would carry heavy loads, and they could because of the heavy work in the farms. The port of Banjul is in what's called Afdai. And there is a legend about, how do I put it, the street wisdom, perhaps, of the people of Afdai. And these Baranyini boys who struggle with the wall of language, which is spoken in Banjul, would learn the tricks of the street from the boys of Afdai who refuse to go to their homes. They are in the street. And given that these guys also have something, they have power, they have will, they joined a club that is still part of the migration story. They became the stowaways. He was a stowaway from the port of Banjul, made many ports before finding himself in Liverpool. But he was a subject of the British crown. And I said to him, how then you just appear and you belong and are settled? He said, yes, because we were subjects. But he said we had a trick. From Banjul, you would stop at several ports before you reach Tilbury or Liverpool. Everybody knows Ghana, Nigeria. And these Gambians, these Baranyini, still wants to be known not as a West African subject, but a Gambian. So they would carry a copy of the Gambia News Bulletin, a newspaper that said, I am Gambian. This gentleman was not even educated. That was perhaps the earliest interest I had in studying the lives of migrants and diaspora. Within that group of people, we saw two dynamics, which to an extent are still with us and still revolves around this vulgar matter of money. Many of those people found themselves in what the Wolof would call sankuya. They sankuji. They are lost to us. They have gone. We don't know where they have gone and where they are. They are disconnected from their background for many reasons. But within 1.5 to 2 generations, they reconnected. Those who were in that field of Sankuji, all of the patterns you now see of intellectual remittance, of financial remittance, and all of the contribution was not there. And when the change happened, Apparently, it changed through the concept of what they call mbokaya. Because when they saw somebody who's an African or who they suspect is from the region, they didn't apparently need to know your name. They would say, Mboka. And if they suspected from your Gambian, they would notice it for the silver bangle that Gambians like to wear. I wonder whether we still do. Some do. And you see them, you don't need to name it, you know their name, you say Mboka. And that Mboka, that reintegration, meant they are now starting to send money, talk to family. Some of the impatience, Your Excellency, is because we are trying to avoid sankuya in the modern age, when people are disconnected and choose other options, because you can take your life and your livelihood somewhere else. The world have become that easy, as it were. This year that we enter is the year when the United Nations is trying to frame a new guidelines as to how to finance development. The experience in Gambia is that the role of the diaspora and diaspora finance is central to core livelihoods. So we are pleased, as my friend Chuko Emeka Chikezi says, about the leadership role the Republic of the Gambia as a country and the government plays in institutionalizing some of the actions. So for example, this event is seen as one of the activities towards that financing for development discussions that would happen. And the diaspora, with all our innovations, cannot do that for us. We've heard we do need the government for that. We thank the ministers and the ministries for their work, especially the foreign ministry, because that is the ministry for the diaspora. When the director of diaspora and directorate was appointed, and we had a private conversation, I said to her, you are now mother of the diaspora. That's now your job. And be prepared. You'll have a lot of trouble because everything that goes wrong will come to that. The ministry is in a way that. So we come to you often with problems for you to help us solve it. We thank the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Welfare for flagging the point about the particular perils that female and women migrants face and how institutional planning can help mitigate it rather than furthering the isolation of women by saying, here's a problem, so it's better you don't go there at all. Thanks for your patience. We look forward to the engagement for the rest of the day. Your Excellency, please take our thanks back to His Excellency the President for the continued support and the continued discussions and engagement. We still have a long list of problems that we have. And of course, you know, by Monday, we will be still at your desk to raise it. So thank you and welcome to the 8th State in the Nation Forum.
Professor Fowl, we thank you for your statement. I will now follow my colleague to. Yeah.
Honorable ministers, distinguished participants, It is now time for the final item of this opening session. I invite His Excellency, the Vice President, Mohammed P.S. Jallow, to deliver the SNF 8 Presidential Address on behalf of His Excellency, President Adam Barrow.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Ministers of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of the Presidency, the Minister of Gender, Women, and Social Welfare, Professor Jibril Fall, Director of GK Partners, the special guests, Sechuku Emeka, and the keynote speaker, Professor Sala, members of the National Assembly here present, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps here present, venerable religious leaders. I also recognize the presence of our former Minister of Finance, service chiefs, senior government officials here present, and I think I saw the executive coordinator of Banjul, the media, all other protocols duly and respectfully observed. I take this opportunity on behalf of His Excellency President Adam Barrow to deliver this statement. As usual, he wished he would have been here, but has asked me to represent him. On 23rd September 2017, when I announced the Gambia's first ever diaspora policy at a town hall meeting in New York, I declared that 15 December to 14 January shall be the Gambia Diaspora Month. In the past 8 years, this period witnesses a joyous celebration of homecoming, a full calendar of diaspora engagements, and a noticeable boost in diaspora tourism, and the many benefits it brings to the local economy and the cultural industries. On 15 December 2024, the Minister of Foreign Affairs issued a statement launching the 2024-25 Gambia Diaspora Month, which culminates in today's annual gathering, the H-Take in the Nation Forum, that's SNF 8. Constancy, consistency, and continuity are core features of institution building. Therefore, I thank Professor Jibril Fall and the GK Partners team for bringing us together once again and for funding this national event. This year, SNF is also supported by the European Union and the International Organization for Migration. We express our gratitude and thanks to them. We also reiterate our thanks to the government of Switzerland for co-funding the first 3 phases of the Migration and Sustainable Development in the Gambia project between February 2017 and June 2024. Amongst other things, this enabled the Gambia to become one of the champion countries for the UN Global Compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration. Within this GCM framework, MSDC is recognized globally as an innovative and impactful model of good practice. It stands as an example of how countries can move from mainstreaming to institutionalizing diaspora participation in national development. In May 2024, the World Economic Forum published an article recognizing the Gambia's leadership in this field. We now invite our development partners to support the fourth phase of the MSDG project, which runs for 5 years from July 2024 to June 2029. 2025 is the year that the United Nations convenes the fourth International Conference on Financing and Development, as we had earlier, to be held in Seville, Spain between 30th June and 3rd July of 2025. The outcome document will replace the 2015 Addis Ababa Action Agenda as the global framework on development finance. It is important that the role of the diaspora and innovative finance is prominent in the consultations, proceedings, content, recommendations, and commitment of FFD4. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Gambia is a small country with big migration, as we had earlier. And when Professor Jibufa, when you talk about after, I'm always, and I'm sure Mr. Gay, who is also there, can always associate with that. We are acutely aware of the significance of diaspora finance to the welfare of families and communities and the development of the nation. As such, working with DK partners and the MSDC project, the government of the Gambia took a leadership role in the formulation and implementation of global policies on migration, diaspora, and development. As part of the Road to Seville FFD4 deliberations, the Gambia has dedicated the 8th State in the Nation Forum to the theme of diaspora, jobs, and the financing for development. In line with our diaspora policy and the strategy and work plans of the Gambia Diaspora and Migration Directorates, the government will continue to champion innovation in diaspora investment and development. In 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, MSDG piloted a diaspora development fund. As of the last audited results in June 2024, €500,000 in cash, equivalent to $37 million, was awarded as grants to 74 projects. These projects were led by diaspora professionals who work with local partners in rural and urban Gambia. The projects in turn generated €4 million, equivalent to $295 million, through cash and in-kind co-finance from the diaspora, government, and other partners. The 2022-24 DDF projects created 576 jobs, of which 78% were in the rural areas. 70% of those employed were women, and 60% were young people under the age of 36. In 2024, the Central Bank of the Gambia launched the National Development Direct Investment Innovative Finance Mechanism. The NDI promotes public and diaspora participation in equity-based financing structures to fund development projects. Consultations with diaspora communities have started already. Similarly, in 2024, the Minister of Finance launched the implementation phase for innovative local currency, project-based, government-backed, fintech-enabled diaspora-targeted bonds. These bonds will facilitate diaspora participation in local resource mobilization, project financing, and mitigation of foreign currency shortages. We look forward to the first DTB issuances and projects. At a continental and global level, the Gambia continues to play a crucial role in diaspora policy. We champion the Africa Diaspora Finance Cooperation Framework as an African Union continental legacy project, as set out in the Global African Diaspora Summit Declaration of 2012. ADFC was endorsed by the African Minister of Finance in December 2021 and adopted by the African Union Executive Council in February 2022. It features the remittance match funding initiative finance mechanism, which will be launched as part of the Road to Seville FFD4 deliberations. We note with national pride that both Remit Aid and ADFC were initiated and developed by GK partners under the leadership of our own compatriot, Professor Jibril Fall. United Nations has granted special accreditation to GK partners as one of the private sector delegates to all the FFD4 deliberations and summit. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Gambian diaspora, as always, it is my honor and pleasure to express the thanks of a grateful nation to the Gambian diaspora. Irrespective of the challenges you face, the queries you have, and the frustration you feel from time to time, your commitment and support for our beloved Gambia is marked by consistency, and continuity. Beyond the huge amount of remittances and investments, as a country, we are proud and grateful for the productive engagement of the diaspora in all aspects of socio-economic development. It is now my privilege to formally open the 8th Stake in the Nation Forum, and I wish you well in your deliberations and look forward to the 9th Stake in the Nation Forum on 10th of January 2026. I thank you for your kind attention.
Your Excellency, we thank you for delivering the statement, and we ask you to convey to the President the thanks and gratitude of GK Partners and the MSDG project for the continued cooperation and support. Honorable Ministers, distinguished participants, here in the Sadauda Kairaba Jawara Conference Center and those watching online, we have now come to the end of the opening session of the 8th Stake in the Nation Forum. We invite His Excellency, the Vice President, and members of the High Table to kindly join us for a family photo session at the OIC reception. Protocols and authors kindly help us to assist in this endeavor. Get to look at the Made in the Gambia marketplace. We shall resume in this hall in 30 minutes time. Thank you all.